today my topic, as you see here, is will zombies really appear? So before my speech actually started, I want to ask a question. So why do you guys think the zombie culture is so popular in the 21st century?
Because the world is going to end.
Cool, I like that idea. I just want to show how big the scene will be after real zombie apocalypse that really happens.
So which one is zombie?
All of those creatures who's chasing the world. So what are zombies? Let me explain whether it's monsters or just normal creatures like us. Anyone, any guess?
Creatures.
Well, in my opinion, if the zombies really exist, then they are just like normal creatures like us, like humans, birds, cats, dogs, fishes, because they have the same system like us did. And the word zombie is first established in West Africa in the 16th century. And it was first used to be a religious word, which is used to describe the participants in those traditional religious ceremonies. Often those religious ceremonies include some maybe blood or sacrifice or devotion. So those participants maybe lost too much of blood and they go to unconscious. But after a short amount of time, they will get up again. But without the scientific explanations for them, those local residents will just think them like just they are dead people. But after they came up, they will like feel scary because why dead people can still live can still breathe, can still stand up. So it was a scary word at first. And after it comes to the English word, it was first established in the book called The History of Brazil by an English poet. And that was in the year of 1819. And then there are three main stages for the zombies in our mind. So before 19th century, the word zombie is always associated with magics, religions. And after the science developed and we come into the 21st century, the word zombie is always associated with like virus, infections, radiations, this kind of stuff. But they are always fictional things, which means people still don't believe that zombies are appeared. But as early as in the year of 2011, CDC, the Center of Disease Control and Preservation, actually acknowledged that the legitimate threat of zombies to us humans, and we should be prepared for them. Which means the US government actually admits that there is a possibility for the scientific zombie to live in our real life in maybe 20 years or 30 years. And to make it more easier for understanding, I said that zombies are just suffer of enhanced rabies virus plus cancer cell. So I think most of the guys here knows what a suffer for the rabies virus act like. They are always unconscious, they are always aggressive, they are always afraid of light, afraid of water, and they just spread out the disease by taking a healthy person and turn it into a virus carrier. And the cancer cells describe how fast the zombie disease spread out. So the spread out of the zombie disease is just like the replication of a cancer cell, which means in a short amount of time, the disease will spread out very quickly. What do you guys think of the physical characteristics of the zombies? Like how they look like, what they act like? That's the Chinese zombies actually. And yes?
It's got like pieces of its brain out.
Oh, that's scary. Yes.
Walking irregularly, like unlike normal
Yeah.
animals.
Like break the bones. Okay. Let's see. The first one is they are always unconscious. They don't have a mind actually working like us humans did. And they have a faster metabolism system, which means they have a higher daily energy consumption than us as human has. And then they are always described as blind, which means they don't use their eyesight as their tools to target the prey. But they have enhanced hearing and smelling ability, which means the hearing and smelling are actually their radar and sonar to track and targeting the prey and going to hunt them. With the fast metabolism system, the zombies periodically should have faster speed, stronger body, and brighter minds, brighter eyesight, but they actually don't have a sustainable energy sources like us humans did, because living things like animals and humans, but we can eat plants, we can plant crops, we can plant vegetables and fruits, and we can ranch animals to eat their meat or drink their milk, but they can't. They don't have the intelligence to do that. So without the sustainable food sources, they can't maintain their body functions like us humans did. So that's why they have a slower moving speed and weaker body than us humans have, because the basis for their body are just our human bodies, but with available their energy requirements daily, they need to digest their own bodies, muscle shrinks, their bones are more vulnerable than us humans did. And that takes account of why in those movies or TV series, the heroes can always use a baseball bat to knock off their heads, and that's impossible in reality. And they're always hungry because of their lack of energy sources, so they always need to catch something or eat something to maintain their body functions. And the bad smell is also because they don't have extra energy to fix their wounds or scars on their body. So with the work of bacteria and flies, they finally become bad smell. And we still even have a not before zombie brain. As we see here, these red areas are virus-infected zones, which can function as their normal human functions. But those flash areas, these outer sides, are actually just died, because zombies are always transferred from a dead body to a half living thing. So the virus energy can only maintain some of the functions, like these areas. And let's discuss about some causes in the unreal world. I have three big categories. The first one is infections. Infections can take account of can split up to two subcategories. One is virus infection, and the second one is microbe or bacteria infections. And some famous examples in this area will be the Resident Evil series, which I just show some of the movie clips, and that lasts from 2002 to 2016. That's for the movie series. And I believe for the game series, that lasts from 1998 to 2019. And then the second one is the Walking Dead TV series, which lasts from 2010 to present. And the last one, I believe it's have real story based movie. It's called Trip to Busan, which is a South Korean movie, and it's really good. It's shot in the 2016. For second part, radiations. And radiations are also split up to two subcategories. One is cosmic radiation, which means the radiation from the outside stuff from our Earth, like universe stuff, like other planets, other stars, other unknown stuffs. And the famous example for this subcategory will be the movie Fido, which is published in 2006. And the other one is more science-based or reality-based, is nuclear radiation caused mutation. Which, because we have the health record for those survivors after the explosion of the nuclear bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and we also have the health report and also documentaries for those survivors after the explosion of nuclear plants in Chernobyl. So their health condition is actually worsened by the nuclear radiation. So after a long term of exposure to the nuclear radiations, or a high amount of nuclear radiation goes through their bodies, they will have much worse body conditions than they now experience. And the last one is aliens. But the aliens category can also split up to two subcategories. The first one is the aliens themselves look like or behave like zombies. They are aggressive. Maybe they even hunt down humans as food, or they use their exotic or their advanced technology or sciences to modify humans or other local Earth species to a zombie-like species, or yes. And picture shows a virus sample, which is very famous in the Resident Evil series, which causes the zombies apocalypse in the Resident Evil series. And it is made by the famous company called Umbrella. And this deer is actually the patient zero, or the virus carrier in the movie The Trip to Busan. Actually, the deer is first crushed by a van in the beginning of the movie, but after like 30-40 seconds or so, it stands up again and looks like that. So look at their eyes. Their eyes turns white or gray, but actually, as we know, that the normal deers always have either black or brown eyes, and that's a and this one. I think most of you guys are more familiar with this one because it's a Walking Dead, which lasts from 2010 to present. And this one is a game picture that's shot in the Fallout New Vegas, which lasts from 1997 to present. And this one, as it said on the picture, is Halo game series. Then what about the causes in real world? With all the scientific researches and what we see in the previous slide in the unreal world, we can give out 4 hypotheses for the reasons of the outbreak of zombies. So the first one is laboratory accident. To be more specific, is biohazard waste leakage. It's similar to the causes for the zombie apocalypse happens in the Resident Evil series. And for the second one is unknown microbial infection, which is similar to the causes for the zombie apocalypse happens in the movie Trip to Busan. And the third one is mutation caused by nuclear radiation. Because as I said before, the health condition for the nuclear radiation sufferers actually are much worse than our healthy humans, and they have a higher risk of getting cancer or other fatal disease than our human has. So with a highly amount of exposure to these nuclear radiations, maybe humans in maybe some later futures will get some symptoms of the zombie disease. Last one is the most dreadful one. It's called biochemical attacks, which is similar to what we experienced in World War I, which is chlorine gas attacks. And it turns the situation much complex because the biochemical attacks actually turns a battle between human and virus, or human to microbe, to a human versus human battles, which needs more time to find a solution. And will the outbreak still possible? I'll say yes and no, because it depends. And these are 3 important questions for us to consider about, or to determine whether the outbreak is still possible, or controllable, or is unstoppable. So the first one is, where does the outbreak take place? If the first outbreak takes place in a let's say Los Angeles, then with the highly population areas, the disease will spread out very quickly and is unlikely to be stopped, only if you use nuclear bombs. And then the second one is, how long is the period of infection? The period of infection is actually the amount of time it takes for the virus to take control of your dead body or a body that is currently be bitten by a zombie. So the shorter amount of time it takes for the virus to take control of your body, then the disease will spread out much faster than we expected. And the third question is, how does the epidemic spread out? To rephrase that, it will be, what is the media or the medium for the diseases to spread out? Within more varieties of methods for the disease to spread out, then it will be much harder for us to stop or control the epidemic. Actually, don't think what I have already said is just fictional things, because it has real world examples. So the disease is called chronic wasting disease, or CWD, and aka zombie deer disease. And the latest outbreak for this disease happens in February 2019, which is just 6 months ago. And the disease itself is first found in the United States in the 1960s. It was first found in an institution in the state of Colorado. And the disease itself is highly contagious, which has a 79% of infection rate, which means in a active infection area, there are 79% of deer that actually have the disease. And the infection area mainly is in like North America continent, and there are 24 states in the United States and 2 provinces in Canada that is labeled as infection zones. And the disease itself is transmitted by body fluids like blood, saliva, and also sweat. And this is a normal deer, and we'll see how the CWD virus will change the normal deer to a CWD deer. So actually, the CWD virus takes control for their nervous system, both brain and spinal cord. And by take control of that, they can manipulate how the deers will act like, or their behavior is. And the virus will accumulate in the eyes. That's why their eye color are changing from a normal black or brown to a either white or green or maybe even red. Depends on their condition of infection. And this is actual CWD sufferer. Even though their eyes doesn't change the color, but look at their horns, they are actually wounded but not covered. And that takes account of fast metabolism, as I explained in the physical characteristic page. And unfortunately, there are no cure yet. This is from Fox News, and I checked the date for this news report. It's 6 months ago, which is February the 18th or 19th.
Wow.
And this one is from Daily Mail. And yeah, I have another news report.
And zombie deer disease is the nickname given to chronic wasting disease. Now, the reason it leaves dying animals with a zombie-like appearance in their final days. Agents with Wildlife and Fisheries say there have been at least 16 confirmed cases
That
in
is the
Mississippi,
early stage,
and health officials are worried that it may threaten human health in the future. However, it's important to note state wildlife officials say there are not any recorded human cases, but the disease has been found in deer, elk, and moose in about 26 days.
It actually eats holes in the animal's brain, and that's why this term zombie came up in Minnesota, because the deer, they lose all fear of humans, they're lethargic, they salivate.
And I also have some real-life researches hosted by these institutions or authorities. So the latest one is the 2015 Cornell University research. And the research team, by using a stimulator called Zombie Town, it's online, you can search that, draw a conclusion that if there is really a zombie catastrophe happens globally, then US residents should avoid 25 top concentrated cities and then get to Rocky Mountains as soon as possible. And then in the year of 2011, which is the same year for the CDC to give out the report that zombies is a legitimate threat to our human species, the Pentagon also gave out a plan called CONOP Portrait 8, and it's well known as counter-zombie dominant strategies, which train their military officers of how they should be response to these, I say, dangers when there really happens to be a zombie apocalypse. And in 2010, the Kent University of England gives out a survey and then draws a conclusion that only 36% of residents in the whole Britain have stored resources for disaster, which means they'll have a higher chance for survive and for a longer time. And I think that also takes account in the United States there. And in the previous slide, we say that why should we go to Rocky Mountains? And this is the factors or the reasons for us to choose like shelters if we can't reach to Rocky Mountains in a short amount of time. At least I'll three. So the first one, as we know, that deep Rocky Mountains don't have that much populations, which means there are low population density, and there will be a much smaller basis for the zombies or the virus carriers. And the second one is the stable food and fresh water sources. Because as we know that there are many preservation areas for wildlife in the Rocky Mountains, which means we can hunt them for food after like all of those policies are like unusable. And there are also streams in the Rocky Mountains, which means there are stable fresh water sources for us to drink, because food and drinks are always our like necessities to maintain our life. And the last one is a high or a narrow terrain. So a high terrain allows people to like observe any emergency situations as fast as they can, comparing to those people who live on a flat plain. And it gives them more time to have response or either evacuate or protect themselves or fight those emergency situations. And the narrow terrain actually helps people to protect themselves against any aggressive either humans, animals, or zombies. And let's draw a conclusion here. So first one, it's not for humans because we don't have an example of like human being infected by the CWD yet, and as well as other kind of disease that will change human to a zombie-like species. But we still should keep that idea in mind that there will finally be some kind of disease or microbial infections or other bacterial infections that will finally cause the transmission from a human to a zombie. And the second one is, as I said before, by answering the Evan's question, that the CWD can be spread interspecies, which means by eating their meat or drinking their blood, the virus only appears to deers appears to other species like monkeys or other predators. And that will finally be us. For me, I think that the zombies are the inevitable products on the path of evolution because, as I said, they have faster metabolism systems, which theoretically will give them faster speed and stronger body and brighter mind and all that kind of stuff. So with sustainable and enough energy, which is proven to our humans, we can actually have that advantage by not like digesting our own bodies. Even though it has some disadvantages, like unconscious, like they are always hungry, they are blind, but we can fix that with maybe scientific advancements. And here are some more calories. So the first one is biochemistry. Biochemistry is all chemical substances and reactions that happens in all organisms. Let's say photosynthesis is the area of biochemistry, and the digestion is also part of the biochemistry, and all of the substances in our body and other plants or animals' bodies are all biochemistry. And legitimate is to make something lawful or justify something, and also to make something formally. So apocalypse is a complete destruction of the world, and the catastrophe is the tremendous disaster happens globally.
I have a question.
Okay.
I'm very curious. This is physical characteristics. Is
Yes.
it prediction or is it proved by the CDC? So this
Yeah,
is
like
fiction.
I'll say some
rabies
of them
and
are
cancer.
admitted by the CDC, like unconscious, eyesight loss, slower movement speed, and weaker body.
Yeah, because from this, I predict that's my future. Because I have a fast metabolism. My
But not that
eyesight
fast,
is
actually.
losing.
You still have a normal.
And I have a slow moving speed and weak body. I'm hungry all the time. I cover my basement by the canoe. So, jeez.
But you are always in a normal human scale. These are like so much tens of times of human conditions. So you're still in normal human levels.
How many deers in total we found the deer was zombie in February 2019?
Can't give an actual count, but I'll say thousands. Like,
Really?
yes, like
In
6,000.
the news report?
Yes.
Wow.
So the first zombie was found in 1960.
The first zombie deer.
That
the
was
disease
first
sample.
zombie deer,
Yes.
Okay.
In 1960s in the United States, and to be more specific, it's an institution in Colorado.
So you say transmitted by body fluid.
Yes.
So deer kiss deer each other?
Well, they won't kiss each other actually, but like by spreading out the sweat, or like they are eaten by other animals, or that they can like also get the disease.
So did that like only affect deer, or did it affect
No, it
other
can.
animals too?
The disease is spreading out interspecies, and there is research shows that the monkeys can, after eating the infected deer's meat, they also have the disease for the CWD. Yes.
Wait, so if I ate some of that, would I be
Yes,
fine?
that's what I'm going to say. Because we are the top predators in this food web, then maybe after the deers being eaten by monkeys, the monkeys are eaten by tigers or lions, and sometimes maybe tigers or lions are also gonna get up to our table. Then after eating that, we might get the disease, but we don't have an actual example for that yet. But maybe future. Let's see.
One question about this, okay, about zombie,
Yeah.
our future. Because we have nuclear war, America dropped the nuclear bomb in the World War II into Japan, okay?
Yes.
And we heard news all the time, a lot of nuclear plants had nuclear leak
Mhm.
almost all the time.
Yes.
How come until now we haven't created any human being zombie? So, so I suspect nuclear, weapon is the cause to create a human zombie down the road. How do you think about it?
Well, I'll say that the nuclear radiation may cause the zombies to appear, but that must be with a huge amount of nuclear radiations. Like what we are experiencing now, maybe still not enough for turning a human to a zombie. If there really happens to be a hot war for those nuclear bomb capable countries to fight a nuclear war, then that might be change the situation. Yes. Yes.
I read an article a few months ago about there being zombie ants because of a parasite that takes control of the ants' brains.
Yeah, I know
And
that.
it's happened in several cases. How do you think that's going to affect humans?
I'll say that the virus may be specific to ant species, because I didn't know any other species that is affected by the zombie ant virus. But for the CWD, I'll say it's a similar cases. For the CWD diseases, it can spread out interspecies. So I suspect that the zombie ant virus will finally, maybe after a long time of evolution, will finally affect our humans. So I have that possibility in mind.
Okay, another question. Sorry. Do you think you would suggest our government to have a budget or something to study, to do research, to have a vaccine down the road to prevent zombies?
I'll say from my personal perspective, yes, because as we see here, there are actual researchers from those top universities or government branches like Pentagon, and also other the foreign universities are also using their budgets to do researches on this maybe fictional or for now fictional creatures. But I will say that if there is a chance, we need to make plans to protect ourselves or prevent these kind of worst conditions to happen. So yes, I will say that there should be some budgets for the researchers. Yes.
So do you think the zombie disease or virus could positively impact the human being?
Yes. I just said in the conclusion slide, I said that the zombies are inevitable products of our humans on the path of evolution, because I said that they have some physical characteristics which is better than our humans have, like fast metabolism systems. Which means if we have sustainable and sufficient energy sources possible, then this metabolism system will help us have a better body, we'll have faster speed, stronger body, brighter minds, this kind of stuff. So yes, if we find some way to improve that, maybe we can get rid of those disadvantages like unconsciousness or without desire, only with the desire for food, or they are uncooperative, this kind of stuff. If we get rid of them, then yes. Yes.
So if I have the infected deer, right, but then I cook it, will I still be infected if I
Well,
eat it?
possibly yes.
Okay.
Because I don't see any human AZ infectious like deer meat that also get infected. But maybe there are some cases that we just can't have access to that. Maybe there are classified researches that we can see that maybe CDC has some type of researches on people who maybe accidentally ate the zombie deer's meat and get maybe infectious or some kind of mutation, but we don't have access to that. Maybe that will cause panic, so they won't release it. But maybe there are some kind of examples for that.
Maybe an area.
Yes.
That's what I was gonna say. Do you think Area 51 is gonna affect our viewpoint on zombies?
Well, there are aliens, and as I said, aliens are also one part of causes for the zombies in unreal world. So if there really happens to be aliens, and with the advanced science and technologies, they might have influence on the science. On the process of turning a person to a zombie, then yes.
Yeah, I want to add on something. Robert just came to United States 2 years ago. Okay, so we really want to give him encouragement.